Welcome, everybody. I'm Congresswoman Sewell. And I have the great pleasure of representing Alabama's 7th Congressional District, which includes so many wonderful cities like Birmingham. I know our mayor is here. Will our mayor stand up and wave? And city council folks that are here, and county commissioners that are here. Also, Montgomery is in my district. Where's Montgomery? Woo! I want to thank the chamber who's here, and all kinds of folks are here from Montgomery. Of course, my hometown, Selma, Alabama, in the house. And since my mother is here, Lowndes County is in the house. I want to thank all of you for joining me this morning. As you may know, this session is in 2 parts. A play followed by a panel moderated by my very own, our very own, because she was a CBC director, Angela Rye. Angela, stand up and wave. This session is so important to me, not only because the anniversary of the Birmingham church bombing is this Sunday, September 15th, but also because my very first piece of legislation that I successfully passed into law posthumously awarded the Congressional Gold Medal, the highest civilian honor, to Addie Mae Collins, Denise McNair, Carole Robertson, and Cynthia Wesley. I will never forget the ceremony in the Oval Office with President Obama when he signed the bill into law on May 24th, 2013. We did this in honor of the 50th anniversary of the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church. I know that we were surrounded that day by family members who also attended the signing in the Oval Office. Will the family members of the 4 little girls who are in the audience please stand? First, Lisa McNair. Lisa McNair is the sister of Denise McNair. We also have with us Sarah Collins Rudolph. Sarah survived the bombing, sometimes referred to as the 5th little girl. And we also have family members from Carole Robertson's family here. Will they stand? Oh, so good to see you. Haven't seen you since the signing. Thank you so much. Thank you. You know, I think it's really befitting that I get to walk the halls of Congress as Alabama's first Black Congresswoman. And I know it's because of the sacrifices that were made for civil rights for all of us to enjoy the freedoms that we now enjoy. But I also know that it is a huge responsibility to play it forward, to play that legacy forward. And so I'm honored every day to represent Alabama's 7th Congressional District, and will continue to fight for all of the values that the civil rights movement, the voting rights movement stood for. The play, you know, is about something amazingly, incredibly special. These actors, student actors from Montgomery Public Schools, are so talented. When I first saw them perform at the Alabama Shakespeare Festival earlier this year, I knew I had to bring them to Washington, D.C. I wanted to make sure that my colleagues and all of you got a chance to see them. I see in the audience one of my colleagues who I'd like to acknowledge, Congresswoman Alma Adams from North Carolina. Kudos to Alabama Shakespeare Festival for partnering with Montgomery Public Schools. I hope that they will stand. Alabama Shakespeare Festival, wave your hand, and Montgomery Public School System. So, this play imagines the lives of Denise McNair, Carole Robertson, Cynthia Wesley, and Addie Mae Collins before the 16th Street bombing. The production encourages us all to grapple with America's painful past and to consider what they would have become. Too often, they are simply referred to as the 4 little girls, but this play reminds us that Denise, Carole, Cynthia and Addie Mae are 4 distinct young women with their own hopes, dreams, and future that were never fully realized. It does take a village to make this production come to Birmingham from Montgomery to DC. And I want to thank all of our sponsors for their efforts in doing so. But without further ado, I wanted to make sure you knew, coming to the floor, why don't you come up, John? Can you come up? Is Congressman John Lewis from the great state of Georgia. You know, when you think about why we have to say God bless America, for me to be a little black girl from Selma, Alabama, who is a life member of Brown Chapel AME Church, and to watch Faith in Politics come to my church every year, and to watch the pilgrimage and the Jubilee celebrate the Selma to Montgomery March every year, often being the usher, passing out programs, and to now be the member of Congress. To be able to call John Lewis colleague is an honor, and I know it's because of the sacrifices, not only the sacrifices that the families of the 4 little girls have made, but people like John Lewis. So thank you, John, for being here. I know that the students are so excited that you're here to share their special time. Do you want to say a few words?
Terry, my sister, my friend.
I told you I was going to bring this to Washington.
And you did it. And my colleague, thank you for what you have done. The people here going to witness what happened and how it happened. A powerful, powerful presentation that should remind us of the distance we've come, the progress we've made, the bridges we have crossed. As some people bled, suffered, and some people died to make America better, to make our home state of Alabama better, and to help redeem our society.
Yes.
So we all should enjoy and take it all in.
I couldn't have said it better, John. John Lewis couldn't have said it better. I really believe that the students are the embodiment, the students who we will get to witness. This is a reunion of sorts for them. They are reprising a production that they put on for the Alabama Shakespeare Festival for Black History Month in Montgomery, Alabama. And so some have graduated and have gone on to places like Stillman and Alabama State and University of Alabama. But they're back to reprise this role. We had the honor of seeing them produce or do a part of this production at the 16th Street Baptist Church for Faith in Politics. But I know that you all will enjoy this, and Angela will come up right afterwards, and we will do a panel discussion. But enjoy the show. It's awesome.
that their names
have been virtually erased.
Erased.
They are inevitably referred to
As the 4 black girls
killed in the Birmingham church bombing.
I would like to remember the positive lives they claimed for themselves.
As teenage girls,
along with our memories
Of that horrible day and what it symbolized.
I would also like us all to consider what
Carole Robertson,
Cynthia D. Wesley,
Addie Mae Collins,
and Denise McNair
might have become.
before we got
What it was like to have a kid's life.
we first learned what it meant to be warriors.
Thousands of us done already.
March against segregation. Been arrested.
Jailed.
Blasted by high-pressure fire hoses.
Clubbed by police officers and attacked by their dogs.
Despite these things, each of us has had a dream.
Seems like every day we was reminded.
Stay your side of the streets.
Stay in your place.
Meanwhile, they got to
Go where we want, do as we please.
Every day, all we got was a heavy dose of the awful D word.
Don't sit, don't eat, don't drink, don't think, don't live or breathe here.
At home it was.
don't worry.
Don't hold your head down. Don't get caught up in all that mess.
Thought mess is what my mama called my hair.
Mess means the protest.
And my hair, sometimes.
The protest our families won't let us go to.
Too young.
Too dangerous. Whether they like it or not, we already part of the movement. And there ain't nothing they can do to stop it.
Daddy, I'm sleepy.
You ain't feel up to going to church. You can forget about going out anywhere else.
On Sundays, 16th Street Baptist Church come first. So when my alarm goes off, I get up.
By the time she's getting up, Mama's already taking down the pin curls she put in Saturday night.
Gal, I swear I think you left half them pins on your pillow.
So, I gotta redo some of them and hope by the time I leave the house, my hair will be ready.
For me, a freshly starched dress and a yellow ring for my hair. Patent leather shoes polished and a purse to match.
Can I wear berets and ribbons to Sunday service?
Gal, you better choose one or the other.
Guess it's ribbons today.
I wear my mama's dress from when she was a little girl. Then him keep coming along, but she swears she just going to keep fit till there ain't nothing left.
I have to remember to get Sunday's time for Mama after Saturday's dinner.
God always gets his 10%. Sometimes we gotta give 20% just to make sure we square with God. Yes, sir.
I always sit in the front with my parents.
My big sister tells me,
Sit up straight.
y'all sit up.
And cover my mouth when I yawn.
Make sure I share my hymnal, even when I don't want to.
Besides our skin color, things are different on the other side of town, especially on Sundays. Look at how we sing Amazing Grace.
Was great.
Want to make sure everybody here at 16th Street to remember next Sunday is our annual Youth Day. Everybody be sure to be here to support our youth. More information about this event and sign-up sheets for volunteers can be found in the basement assembly room. Let us observe the announcements and do our utmost to follow them. At next week's service, we're going to be passing around sign-up sheets to gather up some folk to help address the problems of the Freedom Riders we've been getting coming through Birmingham.
Ain't they just want the same rights we got? Makes you think that's okay?
Daddy, since Youth Day is coming up, can I use the camera you give me to take pictures at it?
Sure can, and we'll develop the pictures at my shop.
We gonna hurt some people?
What do you think?
Youth Day is one of the days of the year. That's all about us. All I have to do is get through the week.
Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine, heir of salvation, purchase of God, one of His Spirit, washed in His blood. Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine, heir of salvation, purchase of God, born of His Spirit, washed in His blood. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior, praising my Savior, praising my Savior all the day long.
Class? Does anyone know what Birmingham used to be called? Birmingham used to be called the Magic City. Does anyone know why? Because we used to be known as an industrial giant, but now we just plain old Birmingham. Getting thirsty in Birmingham means drinking at the wrong fountain can get you beat or worse killed. But times ain't always horrible all the time. Some of my best time is spent hanging out at my daddy's camera store, watching him work. Guess what, Daddy? Guess what?
You either come in the dark room with me or wait till I'm done. You open the door, expose the film, and destroy it. Then someone's memories will be lost forever. Now, is this an emergency?
No, it can wait. But it really can't. So I'll wait watching for the red light above the dark room, letting me know.
The coast is clear. Now, what is it?
I got an A on my math test.
Oh, that's my girl. This deserves a celebration.
Celebrating means going down to 4th Avenue to Pythian Temple to get a malt or shake.
I always get my malts at Cress's lunch counter. Don't have to worry about the likes of some people.
Vanilla or chocolate? Vanilla.
Chocolate.
Then I want to go to the Carver. Flipper is playing, but I know.
Afterwards, a group of my friends is gonna see Flipper.
Only get to go to the movies if your homework is done. And if my homework's not done, I have to settle for sneaking a peek at What's My Line. Gotta make sure I keep my A's straight.
Denise, what are you doing around that set? I thought I told you to get your homework done.
Okay, Mama, but if my homework's done, can I go down to Kelly Ingram Park?
Don't want you around no protests, water hoses, and the rest. Some things a child don't need to see.
But it ain't as bad as all that.
Too dangerous.
Man, why can't I just be like the other kids?
Cause you ain't like them other kids. God made you Denise. That's why I think your favorite word is why.
She's right, but it's also her favorite. Mama, when I grow up, can I be a doctor?
Don't see why not.
Most times questions in my house go unanswered. Papa, when I grow up, can I be a firefighter?
Girl, stop talking foolish and eat them peas on your plate.
All girls want to be these days are nurses and teachers. But if I could just help people, it makes me want to be a doctor even more. And not just any kind of doctor, but a pediatrician. How are you feeling today?
Oh, my tummy hurts.
For how long?
Almost a week.
As his mother, you have to make sure to bring him in immediately when this sort of thing happens. You know his history been like with this sort of thing.
Yes, doctor.
And what's wrong with you?
My throat's sore. I need a note to stay home from school.
Not so fast. Let me take a look at your throat.
Well?
There's nothing wrong with you.
But I feel sick.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. I think you just feel like playing hooky from school today. Being able to say there's nothing wrong with you is the best words you can tell someone about their child.
Denise, you can't read both of these books at one time. Better pick one.
I want this one.
What it takes to be a pediatrician.
This book has so much information. Now I finally know what I have to do to become the best doctor ever. Develop a strong love for children and a lot of patience while working with them. Check.
Start in high school by being an above-average student.
Check.
Study hard your 4 years of college, as your grades must be excellent.
Okay.
Prepare for 4 years of difficult study in medical school.
Of course it won't be totally easy.
Score high on the National Medical Board exams to qualify and get a good position in a pediatric training program.
Sure.
Complete a 1-year pediatric internship. Finish your course of preparation with a 2-year residency. Prepare for a second round of National Medical Board exams.
Watching a child grow and develop into a healthy adult is highly fulfilling work, but the responsibility of the care of babies and young children can be overwhelming.
Guess one thing I need to practice is delivering bad news to my patients. I'm worried about his elevated blood levels.
What does that mean?
Well, I don't want to guess. That's not what I get paid to do. Here's the name of a good specialist in Montgomery that will run more tests.
Will they take as good of care of him as you have?
Well, I wouldn't sing to them if I didn't think they would.
Thanks, doctor.
You're welcome.
What do you tell Dr. McNair?
Thanks.
You're welcome. Here's the sucker. Everything's gonna be all right.
Denise, did you finish your homework?
Yes, Mama.
I'm gonna be up there to check in a second.
Before I can be Dr. McNair, I have a lot of growing up to do.
You hear Bobby Williams got arrested for protesting the other day.
His parents let him protest?
She didn't say his parents let him protest. She said he got arrested for doing it.
Daddy said he turned them hoses on the kids in the park.
My uncle said it's like watching cockroaches run when lights get turned on.
Mean, if he got arrested, Bobby probably didn't get my mud pie.
I bet his parents got it.
You put a mud pie in Bobby's mailbox too?
Yes, he's the only one I would give one to. The other boys at our school ain't worth it.
He gonna be her husband and James Robinson gonna be mine. But who do I get to marry? You two done took the cutest guys at Center Street.
Well, find you somebody. Now, I'm tired of being told I can't protest.
Be glad when they stop protesting. Don't know what they got to complain about. Mama says they got it better here than anywhere else.
Better than New York.
Especially New York.
Our maid is practically one of the family.
Everyone is doing something to help the movement. Gotta be something we can do.
Like what?
Well, we can do a fundraiser like the one I did for muscular dystrophy.
I can tap dance again in one of the plays.
And I'd sing.
And I'll do one of my plays. Doing something is better than doing nothing. Rehearsal! Remember your lines.
Busy day at the Chris's. Father and daughter have spent the afternoon shopping.
Daddy, I'm hungry.
We can eat when we get home.
Waitress, another round of cherry Coca-Colas.
Can't we stop real quick and get something to drink here?
Let's wait till we get home. I'm sure your mom started to cook by now.
Please, Daddy, can I just get something to drink while we're here? Everything looks so good.
No, let's go.
Are the other kids' parents let them come here?
Only one type of parent can let their kid come to this lunch counter.
What's that mean?
Time to get home, it's late.
Daddy, what you mean?
Don't matter, let's go.
Pull on his shirt for the next line.
It matters to me.
Means they don't serve people that look like us in there.
What's wrong with the way we look?
I ask myself that almost every day.
Can I come here when I get older?
Hopefully, by then, things will be different. And you can come as often as you want regardless of your skin color. Come on, I'll buy you a malt at the Pigeon. Just don't tell your mother. It'll be our secret.
We always go there.
I know, baby, but I only treat with respect.
This is a true story.
Our governor, George Wallace, ran for
and won his office
on the slogan,
segregation now,
segregation tomorrow,
segregation forever.
In June 1963,
the federal court barred any state government
interference with the enrollment of 2 black students,
Vivian Malone
and James Hood,
at the University of Alabama.
Despite this order,
Governor Wallace appointed himself temporary university registrar
and stood in the doorway of the administration building
to prevent students from registering.
In response,
President Kennedy federalized the Alabama National Guard.
100 guardsmen escorted the students
to campus, and Guard Commander
General Henry Graham
ordered Wallace
to step aside
so the students
could be registered.
Everybody's gotta wait when it's a hot summer day in Birmingham. We wait for the sun to go down so we can get out of the heat. We wait in line for water when we're thirsty. But what we're really waiting for is something to change.
Today in history class, we will be learning about the Republican Party and how they freed the slaves. During this time, they were finally allowed to vote, but once the Democrats took over, we weren't allowed to vote. Now, here we are.
I love my history teacher. One day, I want to be just like her and be able to teach students that there was a time when we did have rights. But I know across town, they're being taught something completely different.
We must protect the Negroes from making their own decisions when they vote. That's why we will never give them the right to do it.
You learned the music for Monday's game?
Yeah.
You always get stuff done so quickly.
That way, it leaves more time for the fun stuff, like hanging out with you all.
Can't believe we have to wait in this long line for water.
They just don't know how easy they have it.
Let's stop by Cress's and grab some burgers on the way home.
One day, we're gonna be sitting next to them on buses.
Standing in one line with them for water.
Sitting next to them in school.
Our grades is just as good, if not better than theirs.
Got that right.
You going to that Friendship in Action meeting?
Yeah, I spoke to your mom about getting a ride to it.
Hey, my mom's been thinking about checking out that Friendship in Action meeting.
Don't want no parts in that. People at school find out you hang around them types. You ain't gonna be one of us no more.
Still not sure I want to go.
I wanna go. What is it? Black and white parents and their kids dealing with racism in the schools. Don't know how many more times I'm gonna have to keep taping up my raggedy textbook.
How you think we got these new geometry textbooks and they ain't got none? Don't really care.
They've been trying to desegregate our schools like forever.
That'll be the day I sit in class next to a raggedy head nigger.
This time's gonna be different.
Heard that one.
Remember when you wanted to go hiking up to Vulcan?
Yeah?
What did you say when I asked you why you wanted to go?
For the adventure.
It's the same thing, right? An adventure. To be a part of history.
Maybe, but some adventures can get you killed.
Fanny's right. I just don't want to tell her yet. Let's go to my house. Yes. I live in Smithfield with my parents. It's walking distance from my high school. Parker. Parker's got a world-famous marching band. Yup, we're that good. And I get to play clarinet. My favorite place in the entire neighborhood is the rec center. Every Saturday afternoon, me, Flo, and Diane, that's my older sis, get to take tap and ballet lessons there. And I've gotten pretty good. I'm hoping next year they'll let me be the lead in the spring recital. It's kind of all I can think about.
Can't you talk about something else besides the recital? You're driving me crazy.
I just started studying ballet. Yesterday we learned what fifth position was. If I keep it up, I'll eventually get to do points.
When some of my classmates find out where I live,
Smithfield.
The neighborhood with doctors, lawyers, and businessmen.
they think I must be uppity.
We can't help where we live. What's the big deal about an address anyways?
Most of my classmates think living here is easy.
They don't call it Dynamite Hill for nothing.
Living around here can get you killed.
Daddy and his boys gonna go over to Dynamite Hill again tonight.
Call it Dynamite Hill because you all bomb the houses in my neighborhood all the time.
Because you don't belong over here. Now you go back where you came from.
It's hard to know when your home might be next.
Sometimes I feel like my nightmares may never end, but then I climb in bed and sleep next to Fanny, and everything starts to feel okay.
For now, we got other things to distract ourselves with.
Got some good news.
What?
My mom got invited into Jack and Jill.
Like the nursery rhyme?
No. So that means you get to do the holiday parties,
Community service.
field trips.
And a cotillion.
I'm so jealous.
You should join.
My parents don't have that kind of money right now. Maybe later.
Well, as long as it doesn't get in the way of my other activities, library assistant, Girl Scout marching band, and science club, I can be in it. The cotillion, I still have a couple more years before the cotillion to think about who my date's gonna be, learn how to waltz, worry about what side my hair will be parted on. That ain't stopped me from dreaming about the dress.
Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. This morning, woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.
To pressure the government
To act more quickly on a civil rights agenda.
A massive march
on the nation's capital
Was planned, scheduled, and carried out
on August 28, 1963.
According to estimates,
Over 250,000 participated in the peaceful demonstration,
which culminated
in the speech,
I Have a Dream, given by Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.
My dad noticed. What'd he say? Nothing. Mainly just shook his head. You know, he see a lot of stuff patrolling Smithfield. Dynamite Hill. Yeah, dynamite.
My daddy said him and his boys go down to Dynamite Hill tonight to light some niggers. I ain't supposed to know, but I overheard him telling Mom.
Don't your daddy ever get scared going over there? I hear my mama praying for him every night he go out.
Lord, watch over Claude as he patrols your streets. Keep him safe from harm.
And thank the Lord every time he come back home.
Thank you, Lord, for bringing him home safe again. Do you get to hear tons of stories about the movement?
My parents don't even talk about it.
What you want to know about such horrible things for? Go on and do your homework.
Little girls shouldn't think of such things.
I guess they think they protecting me or something.
It's good, them looking out for you.
What did it feel like?
You really want to know?
Yeah.
Hoses got a way of making your skin feel like it's been ripped from the bone.
What made you want to take that kind of chance?
Tired of sitting around doing nothing. A lot of kids like us at Kelly Ingram that feel the same way.
You think you gonna go back to Kelly Ingram, Karen?
Nah, I done my part.
When my mom came home from school the other day, she said,
"Now, don't want you all to leave to go to the protest because you might get hurt. However, if you decide to do so, do it when I turn around to write your homework on the chalkboard."
When she turned around, the entire class was gone.
Wow.
Of course, I couldn't get away with something like that in any of my classes at Ullman. My teachers would tell on me to my parents.
That's the problem with having parents as teachers. Don't you want to be a teacher, Cynthia?
Professor.
What's the difference?
Teaching college versus anything else?
You'd be a great math professor. You always great when it comes to helping me with my homework.
Math comes natural to me. Sometimes I think I dream in numbers. My mom said it's a job that most women ain't doing.
Where would you teach?
The University of Alabama, where I'd make over $100,000 for my work, and I'd have a long list of students who have to wait to get into my class because they'd always be so full. And in my spare time, I'd be a novelist, writing under a pseudonym when I published my math research. I'd be a tough but fair grader like Miss Perkins. I'd make sure all my students do well in my class, and then I'd dedicate all my books to my husband and children.
I want to be an astronaut. There's got to be some woman to finally go to space, and it might as well be me. An astronaut? NASA's been around almost 5 years now. Eventually, they're going to want a woman to do a man's job.
Well, while you two are in space and in the classroom, I'd be a vet. I already take care of my cat, dog, hamster, and rabbit, and in my spare time, I'd be an actress. Like Dorothy Dandridge. And you can wear the same dress you wore in Carmen Jones.
That dress was gorgeous.
With our future careers, we should be able to afford something like that for ourselves. All right, Lynn, switch sides with Karen.
Why I gotta move?
I need to practice my ushering for Youth Day this Sunday.
Haven't you ushered before?
This would be my first time doing it. I did it once. That was enough for me. It's such a big responsibility. Especially since this Sunday's Youth Day. I gotta make sure I get it right.
What's the big deal about being an usher anyway?
When you're an usher, you're the first person the visitors meet. Pastor said it's like being the face of the church.
Can't wait to show this ring off in church on Sunday.
Me too. More tea, ladies?
Great day, the righteous marching, great day. God's gonna build up Zion's walls, chariot road on the mountaintop. God's gonna build up Zion's walls, my God's spoken, the chariot stop. God's gonna build up Zion's walls, great day, the righteous marching, great day. God's gonna build up Zion's walls, this is the day of Jubilee. God's gonna build up Zion's walls, the Lord has set his people free. God's gonna build up Zion's walls, great day, the righteous marching, great day. God's gonna build up Zion's walls.
No cowards in my land.
God's gonna build up Zion's walls.
Call for valiant hearts and men.
God's gonna build up Zion's walls. Praise day, the righteous marching, praise day. God's gonna build up Zion's walls. God's gonna build up Zion's walls. God's gonna build up Zion's walls.
But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right.
Last week, I live in Montgomery for justice.
Arthur Davis Shore's house was firebombed on September 4th.
In retaliation for black, I only do that for part of the year, and then I'd be busy being an artist for the rest of the time.
Doing what?
Painting and such?
Painting houses?
No, painting portraits, like the ones I do of all of you.
That ain't gonna pay a lot of money.
All I have to do is sell one portrait a year to live off of.
That sounds like the best job ever.
As Mama and Papa say, once you have to pay bills, you'll get a real job.
At least I'd be earning my own money. Wouldn't have to worry about wearing everybody's hand-me-downs. Because I'd have my own money to buy my own stuff. And no one else would be able to wear it. Unless they ask nicely.
Eventually, you're gonna run out of competition, especially since you keep playing the kids in our school.
If they desegregate the schools, she gonna be playing the white kids too.
They've been trying to do it for years, but ain't never gonna happen.
Well, it's just a matter of time.
Think it would be better to just leave things the way they are. I don't want to go to these stupid schools anyway.
Well, it don't mean that all of us have to go to their schools, but don't you think we should at least have a choice?
I do.
I think that I like things just the way they are.
Well, I think about the games I play in. And I'm only playing a small amount of schools that I might be competitive against. And I just want the opportunity to play everybody.
It would just cause less trouble if they left things alone.
For who?
For everybody. You're too young, Addie Mae. You don't get it now, but later on you'll understand.
That's what you always tell me. But some things don't seem to make sense, no matter how old you are. You going out tomorrow?
Yeah. Mama's made some more pot holders and aprons for us to sell.
How much are we selling them for again?
Let me see your apron.
We also got bib aprons going for 75 cents.
What about pot holders?
Those is 35 cents.
I'll take one of each.
I'll meet you on the baseball field after school so we can go door to door.
Sounds good. And I'm gonna borrow your yellow dress for this weekend.
I was wearing that.
Well, I'm wearing it now.
What I'm supposed to wear?
Something else.
You always get to wear my stuff, but I never get to wear yours.
When you get older, you'll be able to boss your brothers and sisters around.
Why would I do that? Why would I want to be like you?
Hey, remember what Mama says? That everything we own don't belong to us, but to the Lord.
So Janie's not borrowing my dress, but the Lord's?
Something like that.
Well, you better take good care of the Lord's dress.
Thanks. See, you always did know how to keep the peace around here.
I just hate seeing everybody fighting over something like that. So who's pitching next week's game? Me, of course. You starting again? Yep.
I wish they would just let me off the bench to play.
And you just saying something? I know. I'm so excited. I'm gonna be working on my underhand pitch all weekend.
Can I help?
I'm counting on it.
I don't care what they say. I meant Jackie Robinson.
Need to make sure that Sarah gets to Sunday school on time this weekend. Ain't you going to Sunday school? I am, but I'm meeting with my friends and we're walking together. Oh, don't look at me like that, Addie Mae. I have to have a life away from this family. What about what Mama says? That family sticks together? Family sticks together, except for when they don't. We should get in for dinner, Miss Cole. What we having? Beans and rice.
Again?
Hush. Get inside and wash your hands.
Can I borrow your blue just for Youth Day this Sunday?
It's too big for you. But we'll find a way to pin it for service. And we'll starch it and make sure it's nice and fresh for Sunday service.
Yeah?
2 outs!
How I got over, how I got over, my Lord, and my soul looked back and wondered, how I got over, my Lord. Lord, I've been used, and I've been scorned, and I've been talked about as sure as the Lord. And my soul looked back and wondered, how I got over, my Lord. Oh, joy is rivers of healing and hope. It's been chilly or blinding, but not your soul. And my soul looked back and wondered, how I got over, my Lord. How I got over, my Lord. And my soul looked back and wondered, and my soul looked back and wondered, and my soul looked back and wondered.
Strike three.
You could say they had fair warning. Someone called the church office.
And on the other end of the line said,
3 minutes.
That's all they had left.
And little did they know, an abrupt end.
Inside the basement of 16th Street Baptist Church.
had already been planned for them.
Heard today's sermon called The Love That Forgives.
Daddy's preaching on forgiveness this
Sunday. Let's bow our heads. Lord, we thank you for waking us up this morning and allowing us to come together yet another day. For this is your day, Heavenly Father, and we will rejoice.
Can you tie my sash?
Addie Mae! You still there? I can't see you.
I was supposed to be a doctor.
A history teacher. A mathematics professor and novelist.
A baseball player and artist.
A human being.
But in a matter of 3 minutes, a lifetime changed. The FBI sent agents out to investigate and 4 were identified. The Birmingham office of FBI recommended the 4 be prosecuted.
However, the director of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, refused and claimed that civil rights activists themselves bombed the church to gain public sympathy. The FBI initially closed the case in 1968. The suspects were 4 members of the Ku Klux Klan. It took nearly 40 years for them to be brought to justice. Local prosecutors reopened the case, and 1 suspect, Robert Dynamite Bob Chambliss, was convicted of murder in 1977.
Herman Cash died in 1994 as charges against him were being prepared. On May 1st, 2001, a Birmingham jury convicted Thomas Blanton, who was 62 years old at the time of trial, on 4 counts of murder. On May 22nd, 2002, a jury convicted Bobby Frank Cherry of the murders. Both Blanton and Cherry were sentenced to life in prison.
What bothers me most
Is that their names
Have been virtually erased.
Erase.
They are inevitably referred to
The 4 black girls.
Killed in the Birmingham church bombing.
I would like to remember the positive lives
They claimed for themselves.
As teenage girls.
along with our memories of that horrible day and what it symbolized. I would also like us all to consider what?
Carole Robertson, Cynthia D.
Wesley, Addie Mae Collins,
And Denise McNair.
Minds have become.
song. This song is not a long song. But this song is a real song.
Give the students another round of applause. They were incredible. So we're going to start the panel momentarily. We're just doing a quick reset. And while we're doing that, I just want to introduce everyone so we can jump right into the substance of the panel. First of all, can we please also give Congresswoman Sewell a round of applause for saying this play has to come to D.C. So Congresswoman Sewell will, of course, be joining me. This is her session, her panel. And we will also have Lisa McNair, who is the sister of Denise McNair, who, as you all know from the play, was killed in the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing. Sorry. And we also have Sarah Collins Rudolph. I won't. Sarah Collins Rudolph, who's the sister of Addie Mae Collins, who, of course, as you all know, was also killed in the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing, and a survivor of the bombing. And we also have Congressman Lewis has stayed with us. So we are going to invite Congressman Lewis back to the stage. Are you coming back up, Mr. Lewis? You look surprised. We want you back up to inform this process. And last but certainly not least, this gives us an opportunity to give her another round of applause for all of her talents in the play today. Trinity Ross, who's a product of Montgomery Public Schools, who was Carole Robertson in today's play in The Four Little Girls. So thank you all so much for joining us. We will get started. What did you all think? It was so moving. I was like, there's probably still a lump in my throat right now. I was trying to hold back tears. I was like, if I ugly cry, this makeup is finished. And I just was so moved by this. I have to tell you, there's this moment almost towards the end of the play where they say you're supposed to be a human being. And you think about the times we live in right now, the fact that humanity is still in question, right? In this day and age, it's 2019. The theme for this year's conference is 400 years, right? We know why, because of course the first undocumented African was brought to these shores. Documented enslaved person. I'm thinking about undocumented people thinking of humanity, right? The first documented enslaved African was brought to these shores 400 years ago. And so the CBC commemorated that just the other day on Tuesday on Capitol Hill, and that is the whole theme of this conference. And 400 years later, again, we're still questioning, somebody's still questioning our humanity. So that's a really good place to start. I want to start with you all, two of your sisters gone, and just talk to us a little bit more. We saw some of their humanity displayed in the play today, but if you could talk to us a little bit more about who they are to you, and who they were when their lives were stolen from them by racist behavior, racist, violent behavior.
My sister was Janie, and Junie. I had a sister named Junie, and Addie Mae. We was all at the church that morning, and they mean a lot to me, especially Addie, because Addie and I was the same age, in the same age group, and we was together all the time. And when she passed, I really miss her. And I love my sister, and after that happened, I just really did miss her. Because whenever you sing me, you would see Addie. We were together, selling aprons. I know you seen the aprons, they was folding up. And we would be together all the time, selling the pie holders and just having a good time together.
Thank you. Ms. McNair, if you can, I know that you also lost your sister. If you can for a moment, talk to us about something special about her that this audience needs to know that maybe they didn't see in the play today.
Yeah, I almost did the ugly crap too, so I'm trying to hold it together. Yeah. I was actually not born when Denise was killed. I was born, my parents had been trying to have other kids, and they hadn't been able to. So I was born almost a year to the day she was killed. So I don't have any memories of her other than great stories that people have told me about her. But I don't know, the scene where you saw where the person, she was blocking the other person, the girl dropped a book and the guy was, in front, she would stand in front of him. That's kind of what Mama said she would do. She was kind of fearless, and she stood up for other people. So that's one great story. And then my father passed in May of this year, and we were cleaning up the house, and the other day we found a diary, Denise's diary. And so it's just been wonderful to read her thoughts and get to know her better. Sorry. All right. I told you guys I was barely on it together too. I'm so sorry. Thank you. I should be passing you tissue. Sorry. Okay. Ms. Sewell, you have been such a champion for the four little girls. Like, that is one of the things I remember the most about working on the Hill. And my point of privilege is I was raised in a house where this story was shared so often. And I want to tell you first, before I ask the question, I want to commend you for making sure this country never forgets them. Yeah. Yeah. That's important.
No. Kids deserve the applause.
And what that should say to all of us is that even if we were not there to witness the thing, it can still very much impact us. And I just, for a moment, would love for you to speak to some of the things we can be doing right now, to ensure, whether it is a church shooting or something on a school campus, what are the things we can do to ensure we always remember and advocate for our humanity first so that we can walk in love and stop the hate?
What a great question. I just want to first just say, weren't they amazing, those students? And the fact that they put on this performance for the Alabama Shakespeare Festival from, I think, late January to most of February for Black History Month. And they got a chance to reprise this right here for us. But it's been 7 months, and you guys did a great job. So round of applause. I saw the play, and I went backstage. I found backstage. Is that what I did, Trinity? I found the backstage, and I said, you guys are coming to D.C. I don't know how, but we're going to make this happen. Because I know that we've come a long way. That's evident by the fact that Alabama has a black woman congresswoman, which is great, and Georgia has 3 African-American congressmen. And 4, and we have, and now we have Lucy McBath, who is there as well. So progress has been made, but I think that all of us know that there's so much more we can do. And for me, I was just so humbled that I get to serve in office during the 50th anniversary of so many important civil rights events and to represent the Civil Rights District. It's not only my job to fight every day for the people who are there now, but also to protect the legacy that is Alabama's 7th Congressional District. It's an amazing legacy. And while we are somehow often get focused on all the negative, I often tell all the kids who come to my office, we come from great stock.
That's right.
We come from amazing stock. We come from people who are known, like John Lewis, but so many who were unknown, who through it all, when you think of 400 years, what a resilient people we are. What an amazing people who dared, had the audacity, the tenacity to challenge the American system, to make America live up to its ideals of equality and justice for all. Those people came from Selma, Birmingham, Montgomery. They came from Uniontown, Marion, I could go on, but they came from Alabama. And we should be proud of that. I've often said that we have to tell our story, good, bad, painful, because if we don't tell our story as Alabamians, if we don't tell our story, others will, and they won't get it right. And so, for me, this has been an important part of my time here in Congress, because it never fails to move me to see that amazing portrait of Shirley Chisholm in the halls of Congress when I get really tired and really worn out and really have a defeated attitude, because the divisiveness in Congress now is hard. I pass that glorious picture and I have to get a pep in my step. I have to be reminded. It reminds me that I am walking the halls of Congress because Denise, Carole, Addie Mae Collins, and Cynthia can't. And so it's a labor of love for me, and I'm just so happy that you all got to experience it and that John Lewis got to watch it with them. What a treat this is. And to the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, thank you so much. And I want to thank, this play was written by Christina Ham, who did a great job, and we have so many great sponsors that help get this whole cast and crew here. But in terms of what we can do to move it forward, somewhere along the line, voting rights became a partisan issue. It shouldn't be. You know, John gave a little blood on a bridge in my hometown of Selma for us to have the right to vote. And that bill, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, had been reauthorized in 2006 for 25 years. So, but for the Supreme Court decision in Shelby versus Holder, it would still be there. It passed overwhelmingly. That's why you saw during the 50th anniversary, you saw George Bush right with Barack Obama, because he was proud of the fact that under his time there as president, a Republican president, that he passed the Voting Rights Act. All of us have to raise our collective voices. Public sentiment is the only way for us to truly restore the Voting Rights Act of 1965. We have bills. I have a bill that is going to get to the floor, H.R. 4, and it's going to pass the House of Representatives because we have a House that cherishes voting rights, and the Democrats are in power. But it's going to languish in the Senate because Republicans won't support it. We can change that. And we can change that by being imbued with the energy, the strength of reminding us of what our forefathers and mothers went through. If they could endure the Middle Passage, for us to be descendants of people who did that, we come from amazing stock. And we have to fight every day to keep the progress that people at John's, Moses' generation gave us. But we have to, because progress is fragile. We have to continuously fight for it. But it's in the hands of we the people. And it starts with voting. Vote. no matter what, every state, federal, local election. It's critically important. Vote.
Thank you, Ms. Sewell. Thank you so much. Mr. Lewis, I think what Ms. Sewell just said is so important. Progress is fragile. And I often think about you because, as you know, you are much nicer than me. And I think about you all the time because I just wonder what your feelings are. What are you really thinking when you consider the fact that we have some folks in really high office, in leadership positions and roles that seem to want to strip progress from us and take us backwards? So I want to know what you can tell us, not just to be nice, but to maybe get in a little bit of good trouble, not bad trouble, to make sure that we do protect the progress that we've made and to ensure that we progress further from where we are right now.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank Tara Sewell, my colleague, my friend, my sister, and all of the young people. And thank my native state of Alabama for allowing you to become you. You know, I may live in Georgia, but I'm still much an Alabamian. I've been shedding some tears. Probably gonna shed some more. You know, there are forces want to take us back to another time, to another place. I see it in the Congress. In spite of all of the changes, in spite of all of the progress we've made, the scars and stains of racism are still deeply embedded in American society. Even in the White House. And we have to do what we can. As Terry stated, to recapture the essence of the Voting Rights Act and get your bill passed. I happen to believe that the vote is precious. It is the most powerful, nonviolent method that we have to bring about change. And white people didn't want us to have it. They beat us. They left us bloody. They murdered some of our people trying to keep us. When I spoke at the march in Washington 18 days before the bombing, I said, one person, one vote is the African cry. It is ours too, it must be ours. And we got to get out and just go for it. Black people, white people, Latino, Asian American, Native American, we got to go for it. When I saw the two Native American sisters being sworn in as members of Congress, I cried. When I saw one standing in the chamber presiding over the House, I cried again. And when people say, nothing has changed, I feel like saying, come and walk in my shoes. I first went to Selma in 1963, right after the church bombing. There was Mrs. Boynton, F.D. Reeves, and a host of others that are not going on. But it was the brave and courageous people of Selma, of Birmingham and Montgomery, Mississippi, and other parts of the South that gave their blood. I was at home visiting my mother and father, my sisters and brothers outside of Troy, where I grew up in Southeast Alabama. and I got a call saying you must go to Birmingham, must go to Birmingham. And an uncle of mine who lived a short distance away came and picked me up and drove me about 60 miles out of the way so people, the Klan people, wouldn't see me board on a Greyhound bus to travel from Troy to Montgomery, to Birmingham. And I made it to Birmingham. And Julian Bond met me there. And we stood across the street and looked at the church. And we broke down and cried again. And we stayed there for the funerals of the little girl. And to see these young people grow up and tell the story of what happened and how it happened. Continue to tell it. Continue to educate people, to inform people, so something like this would never, ever happen again in America. I said thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Trinity, you had such an incredible role in this play today. And the question I have for you is, in preparing for it, did you carry with you this burden of having to really embody this person who has become a hero to us just by sacrificing her life, right, so that we could be better? How difficult for you was playing that role?
I'll say it was difficult to carry the burden of feeling like I had to get this story right. Like any stumble could prevent someone from really understanding the truth of the story and the purpose of the story, which is to humanize these 4 black girls who were grouped together, whose names we forgot, as Christina included in the play. Our director made sure from the very beginning that we recognized the parallelism between the past and the present. So I did not try to become Carole. I tried to see the same things between myself and Carole. I think it's important to recognize that these girls were human, and so they had dreams, and they also had obstacles, just as I have dreams and I also have obstacles.
Thank you.
We're so proud of you. She's a freshman at University of Alabama now.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Thank you, Trinity. There's another moment in the play where they talk about the role of J. Edgar Hoover. And I think it's important, again, to connect the dots between the present. So the question I have for the panel, and whomever wants to chime in here is fine, what do we do about the modern day J. Edgar Hoovers? Because they're there, even in the White House. What do we do about the modern day J. Edgar Hoovers? What is our responsibility? Mr. Lewis said we have to fight. What does that fight look like to ensure that the J. Edgar Hoovers don't have the same type of legacy that he left us with from the 60s?
Well, I guess remember something that was said in the play is remember that we're all human beings. Like I told you, my father passed in May, and I gave his eulogy. And because I wanted people to know him as I knew him. And one of the things that I told people is Daddy would never say, well, black people do this or white people do this. It said human beings do this and human beings do that. And to remember that we are all human. And we run away from that and compartmentalize ourselves. We all lose something. And we have to continue to let people know that each person is human and relate to each other in a humane way. One of my favorite movies is A Time to Kill, that movie. And the part I love the most is the end where, the Samuel L. Jackson character tells Matthew McConaughey character that the way for him to get off is to make the white people on the jury think like he thinks. And, Matthew McConaughey didn't really want to embrace that because he didn't want to know that he had those same thoughts. And what came down to it, he had to let them know that if that little girl that they had who was white had gone through the stuff that the girl in the movie who was black did, what would you do? So I think that all ties in very well to the play. because the bombing was a pivotal turning point in the civil rights movement. And there may have been people who were silent witnesses and didn't say anything or stop the injustice. But when 4 girls were killed, everybody, particularly here in the South, could relate to taking your child to church. And no child should die in the middle of church, in the middle of Sunday school, that should be sacred. So we have to bring to each other the painful reality that we are all the same. And one dies, we all die. And so that's what we have to do. We have to take that, and we have to remember to vote for people who have those same views when we go to the polls.
Thank you.
I believe the biggest stain on America is racism. And we have not dealt with slavery. We have not reconciled as a nation the fact that these founding fathers wrote a document that did not, these founding fathers, we all know, Thomas Jefferson, we can go on, Alexander Hamilton, we could all go on. Okay, Christian men, because there were no women. Christian chose to put in a document that other human beings were 3/5 of a person. That's real. And we can say we've had an African-American president, we have 55 members of the Congressional Black Caucus now, we've arrived. No, we haven't. Every day on the streets of Birmingham, Montgomery, Selma, we see it every day. Whether it's when my brothers are on the elevator with me and someone, black or white, gets on the elevator, my brothers are big and tall, clutch your purse. Or people see a resume and they see a person went to an Ivy League school and they think affirmative action. I mean, it permeates our society in all kinds of ways, conscious and unconscious. So I believe, and I can only speak for myself because I signed on to the bill, that we should study this and think about how we can actually reconcile. And reparations, what does that look like in modern day terms? But let me tell you something. It starts by doing a serious journey through my district. Please come to Montgomery. We have the Equal Justice Initiative has a lynching memorial. Stand before it. See the names of people who were lynched right here in America. I would be very interested in knowing from you, Trinity, your generation, because frankly, what happened to the 4 little girls was domestic terrorism. We still have it. And I just would love to know what what you think about the question that Angela posed, which is, frankly, what do we do about it? What does your generation think about it? And what's your generation gonna do about it?
I will say being a part of this play has forced me. I had no other choice than to become like a mini activist. A lot of times you'll see people in schools, younger people who just simply are not educated about racism in America, segregation, especially like that pivotal era of the 60s, and they'll say, racism doesn't still exist. And I can't both be a part of this piece and let that statement go by. Oftentimes I will have to make sure people know that we are real, we are human, we have families, we have a language of our own. I think my way of educating people is through art. I think art has a way of, playwrights can sit down for years and articulate exactly how they want a character to come across to an audience. And so they can say things, it's a cathartic release, they can say things that sometimes we don't say as humans in the moment. And I think when you perform art, it can touch people in a way that simply speaking may not be able to do. And that's my way of like modern day activism as a generation. Of course, social media. I've noticed that a lot of the hashtags can become overlooked when they become co-opted.
with other people when people say hashtag Black Lives Matter, but then they're not donating to get them out of jail in Birmingham. But anyway, that's another situation. But I think just more powerful hashtags, like actually having the names, because that forces you to recognize that someone's mother lost a child, someone's brother, someone's sister. When you call someone's name, it's an honor. And that's my view on the situation. I think we'll continue to have our social media activism, making sure that we correct our peers, making sure that everyone is educated, especially as being a part of this cast, we no longer have a choice, I'm sorry. So, yeah, that's mine.
Don't apologize, Trinity. That's a good thing. And you're not a mini activist, you're an activist, not a mini activist. Fully ready. Mr. Lewis, as you know, this week marks the 18th anniversary of September 11th, and the 56th anniversary of the Birmingham church bombing will be this coming Sunday. And so I think, to the point you made earlier about if we think things haven't changed, to walk in your shoes, what do you say to folks who are still very much afraid of the rise in domestic terrorism, in the fact that people are willingly and in a lot of ways being provided the ammunition needed to enact a hate crime against another group because they're different or because they're afraid, really by some of the president's tweets, right? What do you say to the folks who are saying, okay, maybe it's not like it was in the 60s, but I do feel like it's even gotten worse since I've been an adult or a young adult for somebody like Trinity? What do you say to that?
Well, I think we have a moral obligation as a nation and as a people to do what we can and what we must in order to save ourselves. My greatest fear, and I don't want to come across in a mean manner because I don't think I'm a mean person.
You're not.
I think I'm a very loving and warm and forgiving person.
Nonviolent.
Yes.
I do believe in the philosophy and the discipline of nonviolence. But I think there come a time when people must stand up with everything they have and speak up. It made me very sad, and I cried when I heard the person in the White House saying during Charlottesville, we have good people on both sides. Something is wrong with that. And you give people a way out. I think, Terry, it's been said that the first sin of the founders of the whole system of slavery, and maybe somehow, in some way, we got to do more than ask God to forgive us for committing this sin against fellow human beings, fellow creatures. So we all got to get out there and push and pull and try to help save ourselves, save America. I think right now our country and our democracy is in danger. I think what is going on now at the highest level is a threat to the planet. And it's going to be the young people, it's going to be the children, it's going to be the women getting out there, pushing, and to where we left off. And we got to get out and vote like we never voted before. We got to do it. We got to do it.
And there's obviously...
Do it in the name of the children. Do it in the name of the people that died. Just do it.
Mr. Lewis, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you know, I think it's hard knowing that you were there and you survived. And so, yes, we can do it for the children, but you're now an adult. We have to do it for all of us. Can you talk about your experience? I mean, your experience, life's journey since the bombing.
Well, my life journey has really changed since the bombing. You know, when I was going to school, I was an A student. But after the bombing, my grades dropped because people just didn't realize at that time what a bomb would do to a child. The bomb had me shaking all up. I still jump and do all that still today, you know, when I hear loud sounds. It's something that I just can't not get rid of. I hear thunder. When I hear loud thunder roaring, I jumps. So it really had, going through life, I try to, do the best that I can because I can't stay there. You know, I got to move on from that. So I made my living. I went to work and did all the things that I supposed to do because I wasn't looking for people to feel sorry for me, you know. I wasn't looking for that. I know I had to get out there and get a job and take care of myself, even though I lost my sight. You know, it was time when I thought that I couldn't do certain things. Like when I lost my sight, I thought I wouldn't be able to drive. But I had to really encourage myself that I can do this. I got out there and did that. I got my driving license. So it changed me a lot, but I just thank God. It was God that brought me through.
Thank you. And I was going to ask you, actually, if you had any words of encouragement because you persevered, because you were resilient, for the kids who may be getting separated from their parents, for the mothers who have lost their kids due to police violence, to anyone else who has been a victim of domestic terrorism. What words of encouragement would you offer them to keep going?
Well, I would tell them to get help. Go to get help from psychiatrists, because you know nowadays children want to commit suicide, and that's not the answer. That's one thing I never thought of doing, committing suicide. I just want to live a life, and by going to church and learning the Word of God, that brought me a long way. Because when that happened, I was in church and I loved everybody, but I think afterward, the Klans had me hating them because of what they did to those girls. But I had to really get off into the Word of God, and I had to take that out of me. And He really changed my life, especially when I gave my life to God. He turned me around and showed me that love is the answer. You know, many times people hate us because of our race, but we shouldn't hate each other because of our race. We should love one another because we all made in God's image, and we should love one another.
Thank you. Ms. McNair, you have in your bio that we need to strive toward reconciliation in a more inclusive America. What are some recommendations you have specifically for this room to ensure that we do just that?
I think we just have to remember that each one of us has shortcomings, and none of us is perfect. And it's challenging to reconcile, especially when you're with people people who are against you, people who you don't like, or who you know that don't like you. But I think we've all been in situations where we've been in conflict with one another. I usually give an example. My sister, I have a younger sister. My mother and father would have another child 4 years after me. And so, as many siblings do, we love each other, but then a lot of times we don't like each other. And constantly, my sister, I'm kind of an even keel, kind of placid, pleasant person, and my sister's very volatile. So, we're very opposites. So sometimes we'll get in conflict with each other, and I just want to go in there and blow her out the water and curse her out, and she probably wants to curse me back out. But I know that if I go at her that way, I'm going to get it twice, and nothing's going to be solved. And so I have to come in, we're having conflict in a way that's peaceful, that she will understand, that empathizes with her. It's like the 6 principles of nonviolence, that Congressman Lewis espouses. We have to do that and try to win friends and not make enemies. And it's challenging. Being a peacemaker is harder than being someone who is in conflict. But at the end of the day, you don't solve anything if you do not. You stay in turmoil. So we have to seek out reconciliation. And sometimes we have to take ourselves back in order to do that. I talk about my sister, but that goes through all of us, for black people and white people. Often being in Alabama still, living in Alabama, I run across white people who don't want me there. But I have, like, at work, I'm the only white person. I go to a predominantly white church now, so I know some of them don't want me there. But if I get in on a place or on a committee and I have to work with them, I have to reach out and find the humanity in them, and show them the humanity in me. And then the walls break down, and then we become human beings, which we all are. So that's what I would recommend.
But Dr. King taught us to respect the dignity and the worth of every human being.
Amen.
And it's also, we should never, ever hate.
Yes.
For hate is too heavy a burden to bear. So you're going to hate some people one day, then you're going to just love everybody.
That's right.
And another way he put it on one occasion, he said, just love the hell out of everybody. Just love it.
That's right.
So on the point of love, the question I have for both of you is, have you forgiven the perpetrators of the bombing?
Yes, I have. I couldn't hold it on the inside, because by me forgiving them, it helped me. Because if I continue to hold that hate on the inside, hate on the inside only brings sickness to yourself. So yes, I have forgiven them.
Ms. McNair?
Yes, our parents taught us not to hate and to forgive. So I've had to personally forgive, and I think that forgiveness has now turned into, I pity the man that's still living, that's in prison, serving time, because how can you be that person all your life and hold that hate? That's a lot of weight to carry. I'd love to talk to him and find out why is he like that. About 2 or 3 years, Diane, he came up for parole. I don't know how people get to come up for parole on full life sentences, but whatever. Anyway, so he came up for parole, and we had to go down and hear the parole hearings. And so we had like hundreds of people on our side, fighting for us. There wasn't a lawyer, a family member, or anything on his side. He wasn't even there. So that says a lot, that nobody even represented to you, that you've held on to hate, that all your people don't even want anything to do with you. That's pitiful and sad. Yeah. And he needs the Lord, and he needs Jesus. So we have to pray for him.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Lewis, your situation was not the church bombing. You were struck in the head crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge, so everyone in this room could vote, and that blow to your head could have killed you. Did you forgive the perpetrator?
Yes. The person that hit me was identified by the Department of Justice. But they refused to indict the person. But I never had any hatred toward the person or any of the people on that day in Selma. It's another human being. And you just cannot bear those burdens. You move on.
I told y'all Mr. Lewis is nicer than me. So I think the other question I have, and maybe it's just because in my Christianity, God is constantly working on me, not just by the day, but not just by the hour, not just by the minute, but by the second. My follow-up question would be to all of you, Trinity, you included, because you've had to really embody this role. When you forgive someone, do you have to go back through the process of forgiving them again? Because I do every day. I'm like, okay, I forgave you yesterday, but just let me walk through this one more time. Especially given this, like I'm talking about little stuff. My mom has to tell me often, and I'm about to be 40 next month, Angela, make big things small and small things nothing. And these are huge, life-changing, as you talked about, just from your grades, issues. You lost your sister. You never got a chance to meet her, right? I don't want to make you not forgive, but I'm just like, help the room, because somebody in here might need it more than me too, or just as much as me. Like the process of just forgiveness, because I don't see a path towards a more inclusive, reconciled America 400 years later, Ms. Sewell, if we can't get to the point where forgiveness is our first choice and a constant choice.
I think in my path to Christianity, I have to remember that forgiveness is not even about the other person, but more about myself. If I continue to, as you said earlier, build up hate, then bridges cannot be crossed, and they won't even be made, because I'll be so busy worried about the past and what had happened that I cannot fix the future, so that it will not happen to my children in the future. So forgiveness is important because it helps us to stay focused on what really matters, and that is progress.
I love that. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we turn this into Bible study. That's the benediction. The doors of the church are now open.
Is there one?
Your pastor is Congresswoman Terry Sewell, and I'll let her close her panel. Thank you so much for having us. Give our panel a round of applause, please.
How awesome are they? I need the... So I just want to say in closing, there's so many people to thank to get this whole production. First of all, to get the students to come from and like I said, Trinity's now has, they graduated in May, and they're now, some of them are off in college. So this was a big Herculean effort by their family. So I want a round of applause for the family members of the cast. What a big burden. I understand that 20 carloads followed the bus. 20 other cars followed the bus. And that just goes to show the support. And I think that you said it best, Trinity. The arts can teach us. It's a way of touching people in a different way. And when we talk about reconciliation, people have to hear you. People have to see you. And what this play does is it allows us to be seen. What happened in Birmingham, Alabama, to be seen. Now we have to figure out, how can we really strive for that more perfect union? And it starts with us individually. And before Congressman Lewis leaves, I want everyone to remember the lessons that were learned from the 1960s are applicable today. Activism starts at home. My mom, who's in the audience and has celebrating her elegantly 80th birthday on Monday. Stand up, Mommy. Mommy, as a librarian, she often says, bloom where you're planted. So I want to end by just saying, we all can make a difference where we are. Mommy was always good for a quote and a Bible verse. Bloom where you're planted. It starts with each one of us seeing our own humanity and reaching out and not seeing differentness in people, but seeing that we have way more in common than what divides us as a nation. I have to remember that on a daily, as you said, moment by moment, second, especially on the House floor. But you know what? I have to keep my eyes on the prize, because at the end of the day, I have been sent, no matter who's in the White House, I have been sent to Washington to do a task, and that is to do whatever I can to provide the resources and opportunities to the people of the 7th Congressional District on a myriad of topics. And racism affects that. You know, recently I just think that the racial the disparities we see in health and wealth, all of that comes from this country not really reconciling racism. And my plea to all of you is to get involved where you are, to, of course, vote. But the only way that we're going to restore the Voting Rights Act of 1965 to its full enforcement, because it's still there, it's just that the Justice Department does not have to act in a prophylactic way before the harm is done on elections. So you can't unring the bell. You can't unvote for somebody or unelect somebody. So it's a problem, and I really hope that we all strive to do that. So I want to, in closing, just acknowledge, I don't know where Alabama Shakespeare, where's Rick and Todd from Alabama Shakespeare Festival? Thank you so much. Where is the Montgomery Public School representatives? Thank you so much. And of course, this production couldn't have gotten here without Honda, Protective Life, the Blue Cross Blue Shield, Alabama, Allstate, BBVA, and Coca-Cola United, as well as the American Federation of Teachers. Give them all a round of applause. So let us leave this place renewed, because, not sad, it was an awesome play, because what it tells us is that we all have it within our power to make a difference. So let's do that. Thank you all for being here.